Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Agostinho Zinga show with me, your host, Agostinho Zinga, and this is episode number 201, Dos Uno. No, Dos Zero Uno, actually. There we go. Spanish is getting a bit rusty. How you guys doing? How you feeling? Ugh, my rusty Duolingo Spanish to one side. Hope you guys are feeling well, hydrated and rested and stuff. It's Thursday morning somewhere in the depths of East London, and I'm your humble and gracious host here to round up some of the most important cultural events that have happened this week on the internet. So if you're watching via YouTube, thank you again for tuning in. Click like, subscribe and all that malarkey. If you listen via podcast app, laugh along. When you're finished, why not leave me a 5-star review, right? But before we do all that, before all of that good stuff, we need to celebrate, right? Because today's Thursday, yesterday was Wednesday, and an important event happened on Wednesday. And I'm not the kind of person that does this usually, but there's something about this current group of fans that really rouse me and gets on my nerves. So anytime I see them suffering, anytime that they're upset, anytime that they're crying, anytime that they're questioning their life choices, anytime that they're contemplating changing teams, I get glory and satisfaction from it. And if you're wondering, Agostinho, if you're wondering out there, Agostinho, what are you talking about? I'll tell you what I'm talking about. Let's hit it.
What do we have to do? Listen, now we're about to.
What do we have to do? Let me explain something, right? Josh Kroenke's here tonight, yeah? Where's Stan? You own the club. You fucking parasite. Why are you here? Where are you?
Where is Stan? Where's Stan? Someone get Stan. He's angry. Someone get Stan quickly, please. Someone get Stan. Or don't get him, actually, because if you do get Stan, then he's going to be completely furious. Oh, God, let's go back to it, please. Let's find it again.
Where's Stan? You own the club. You fucking parasite. Why aren't you here? Where are you? Where are you? And then Josh is standing there on the stage giving out his medals and everything. Do you really think they care? Do you really think that they care? Give it a few years, Newcastle are going to overtake us if we carry on, right? With the new owners that look like they're coming in.
Here we go.
Shut up.
Here we go. Look at that.
If you want to say something, you come on here and say something, yeah? Shut up. Move yourself. Relax your fucking guns. How many games have I been to this year? Every single fucking game, you silly nut. Fuck off. Right, how many games? You've been to more games than me. I've forgotten more games than you. Shut up. Fucking knobhead. Dickhead. I'm a fucking knobhead over there. I bet this is your first fucking game, you prat. Fuck off, dickhead.
Stay on this.
Nah, fuck him, man. Fuck him.
He got triggered so hard. I swear to God, whoever that guy is in the crowd, right? And if you're listening via YouTube, this is from the glory that is Arsenal Fan TV. A fan. Oh shit, man. Oh my God. He got triggered so easily. It's like, he's done this for years. Doesn't he know when somebody's obviously baiting him? But I guess the emotions are a bit are running high. But anyway, Arsenal Fan TV is an Arsenal fan channel hosted by the guy Robbie here that's interviewing the one DT, and they go, after the games or prior to the games, they interview some of the most colourful fans of the Arsenal fan base. Other clubs have different sort of channels, but Arsenal fan TV is probably the biggest one, I think, out of them all, because some of the guys on there are viral sluts for the most part, right? They do anything and everything. Like when a team wins, they're going over the top and saying they're going to win the Champions League. When a team loses, you have to sell every single player. So you know how it is, isn't it? Knee-jerk reaction of sports fans. And yeah, it's one of my favorite things to watch whenever a team loses, Arsenal Fan TV, because for the most part, I'm not that kind of a fan. The kind of fan that goes out there and gloats when their rivals losing, and especially when your teammates are doing that much better. I support Manchester United, and we're probably going through one of our worst periods in time. Of recent history, really, the last 5 to 7 years have been something to probably forget, apart from maybe the Europa League win. But for the most part, for the most part, Arsenal fan TV is a gift that keeps on giving. You know, I think what is widely accepted that Arsenal fans are probably the worst set of fans out there. I think after maybe the only rival they have is maybe Liverpool fans, right? Liverpool fans are a little bit too self-absorbed. They take the club too seriously. They call their players by their first names. They sing weird songs. They write poems about players they like. It's just really bizarre, right? They defended Luis Suarez when he was, when it was quite obvious that he racially abused Patrice Evra. He bit players. He did all sorts of minor nonsense, and they all went out there and wore his T-shirt, and then he went and celebrated when they scored against them, and they're still kind of loving him up. Oh, odd fan base in general. But Arsenal fans, I think, take the biscuit. I don't know where it is that really got me know about Arsenal fans. I think it might have been during the Invincible season. They were insufferable, right? It was an amazing feat. Don't get me wrong. The Arsenal Invincibles were probably one of the best Premier League sides we've seen maybe in recent history, right? And Arsene Wenger was probably, just hit his purple patch. But I always kind of felt contempt for Arsenal because of how pompous some of their players came across, mostly French. So, of course, they had a bit of an arrogant, self-assured vibe about them. But in general, they just kind of come across that they felt that they were better than the league. Arsene Wenger, of course, as well, got humbled in the Champions League with that same team a few times, which was obviously brought a lot of relief and a lot of joy to a lot of other Premier League fans. And then just the over, just the sense of as if they were superior to everyone in the league, because I think at that time they were the only team playing that kind of brand of football, right? Passing out from the back, really quick passing football. Most of us were playing, I say Premier League sides were playing mostly long ball or crossing balls in from the wings, right? Loads of wing play, loads of counter-attacking play. But Arsenal were all about dominating possession and killing teams before they even come out of the tunnel. So they were probably one of the first time, tactically imposing side. So they kind of enjoyed the fruits of being a great footballing side. And obviously they had loads of young players coming through. I still remember the FA Cup game that Cesc Fabregas played in, all these other players, and David Bentley, just like an amazing crop of young players. But it always felt as if, Arsenal was kind of running on borrowed time, right? And as soon as the players started to dry up at Arsenal, as soon as other clubs coming in with big money, the cracks started to show, the lack of mentality, the lack of winning mentality, the lack of characters in their side. It's so started to crumble. And over the years, seeing them crumble over the years has been so satisfying, because it's really brought their fans back down to earth. And especially with the money that's been invested with some of the other clubs like Leicester, Watford, Wolves, we have to watch out for it as well, being Man United fans. It's really put them into perspective of just how bad the situation is. Then they had that big move to the Emirates, which was built of some way of them kind of finally competing with the big clubs, but it wasn't really. It was just another way for them to generate more money. And now they're in a position where, essentially they're going to cup finals against Chelsea, one of their league rivals, which they finished, I think, just, one place underneath, right? So they're just, there's one place separating them, I think, in between, right? Who finished fourth? I actually forgot who finished fourth. But regardless, there's not much between the two sides. They end up getting humbled 4-1, and it could have been much, much, much more. So, again, I'm not the kind of person that gloats about these kind of things, but it is really satisfying to see them suffering so much, because they really rubbed it in their faces when they were doing really well. So again, it is what it is, but I'm sure they'll all be fine. They'll get loads of hits from it, as the guy from behind mentioned. But bloody hell, man, it's just, honestly, it's the best thing about watching football these days, right? You watch football, Arsenal lose to a side they shouldn't lose to, watch Arsenal fan TV. Arsenal get battered by a club that spends much more money than them, watch Arsenal fan TV. Arsenal get battered by a club that they should be competing with, watch Arsenal fan TV. Whatever it is, watch Arsenal fan TV. Check it out. Oh, he was so angry. Honestly, I don't know why he got so triggered. The guy behind him said something along the lines, how many games we've been to. He's obviously trying to wind him up, and he just goes for the bait and just keeps swearing, fuck you, fuck. Just F-bombs all over the place, man. Just going for it, just furious. Red blood is absolutely boiling. And I think someone said in the comments that they feel sorry for his wife. Honestly, man, some of these guys, man, it's just, and again, I don't understand the rage. I've gone past the point of caring for United, right? I'm not getting as angry as I should have, because I can see that United issues are similar to Arsenal's issues. They're a lot deeper than just the players and the managers, right? You get rid of Solskjaer, you get rid of Emery, you're not going to solve anything, right? You bring in a big ticket manager, not going to solve anything. You sign stellar, big name players, not going to solve anything. You have to change the entire infrastructure of the club, right? Arsenal at the moment are run by an American consortium, right? For the most part, who are quite detached from the club. They don't necessarily attend games because they don't want to get stick from the fans. their only objective is to get top 4 football, to again, to generate income, to generate exposure. They're not really going for the biggest players out there. They're trying to survive on a shoestring budget for a top 4 club. United, the same sort of thing. They don't really have an infrastructure where they can buy the top players. Our head finance guy and Ed Woodward is the one who's in charge of signing players, and he doesn't know much about football. The club structure is a bit fucked up. We jump from manager to manager without a sense of style. So there's no. I wouldn't get that annoyed. I wouldn't have like a breakdown on camera like this if we end up getting beat 10-0 by Bayern Munich, right? Because they're set up much better than us. So if they end up smacking us, it's not because. Obviously, it's because their players on the pitch are better than ours, but there's other things at play that result in the players that we have on the pitch, right? There's a reason why we end up with like Ashley Young, Chris Smalling, Phil Jones, and I don't know, still playing for us in defence, 7 years on, because we lack the infrastructure to kind of move those players on. It's just one of those things. So I wouldn't get that riled up. But there's something about, again, I think it's the fact that they went into this game so confident, Arsenal fans, thinking that they could beat a Chelsea team who kind of came into their own towards the end of the season. A club within Sarri who plays a particular brand of, like your Lumpet. He doesn't, he's predictable in his changes. He doesn't change his style of play, but he's cultivated this style of play throughout the entire season. They haven't changed it. They haven't deviated. When everyone was saying Jorginho was a weak link, he didn't drop him. He kept on playing him. When people saying Kante should be dropped back to screen the defense, Sarri persisted in playing him a bit further up. There were things that he'd done that he consistently did, which kind of made me think, yeah, they're the better footballing side out of the two, right? Maybe on paper, player for player, there's not that much separating Chelsea and Arsenal, but I wouldn't have gone into it as an Arsenal fan and been that confident. Like, I wouldn't, because I watched a couple of their fan cams prior, and they were really confident that they were going to win. And mostly it came off the back of Sarri storming out of the training ground and throwing his hat in there because there was a little scuffle between David Luiz and Higuain. It's like, have you never played football? Have you never played Sunday League? That happens all the time as standard. And Sarri doesn't look like... And if Sarri gets to have a strop and, kicks a ball, I don't take that as an indication that the team are not listening to him. He just seems like a volatile character. That's just what he does, right? He just seems like, the kind of person that always cries when they get angry. He just seems that kind of guy that's like, always throwing his things up in the air or throwing his toys out of the pram whenever something doesn't go his way. That just seems like Sarri's kind of thing. I don't know. I didn't really think that much of it, really. But again, I guess Arsenal fans were really invested in it and really thought that was indicative of their team crumbling. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. So yeah, just a funny state of affairs. Again, I don't necessarily take that much pleasure out of it because I know Man United are in the dire straits, but seeing Arsenal fans, especially DT, getting this, it's funny. Troops as well got one, but he's super depressed. I'm not going to play Troops one because he looks really, really gutted. So I'm going to leave this one. But DT one, it's ridiculous, man. Come on, let's relax. You know what I mean? It's Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? It's not like you guys are fucking Juventus and shit. But oh god almighty, that was glorious. Oh, absolutely glorious. I was saying glorious. Anyway, let's move on. To topics I want to talk about. Number one topic here to talk about, something again that I thought was really, really poignant to kind of bring up, because mostly in these kind of topics, or mostly when these kind of situations happen, you hear about the case, but you don't necessarily hear the update on what actually happened in the end, right? So I'm gonna say this. So this is news from BBC. JLS star Otis Williams Otis not guilty of rape. And this is again, I'm really happy for the dude. Don't know him personally, but I saw this news break a few weeks ago, and I was really shocked. But I was like, fuck, that looks awful. Didn't read that much into it again, but then found out later on that there was some misgivings with the case overall. It seems like his case had got completely checked out and he's been vindicated on paper so far. But let's read the entire report. Former JLS star Otis Williams has been found not guilty of raping a woman in his hotel room. The singer, 32, denied the attack after a concert in Wolverhampton in December 2016. The ex-boy band member's tour manager, Jamin Nagadahan's 32, has also found not guilty. Prosecutors allege Mr. Williams of Croydon, South London, jumped on the woman as she looked for her phone. During a 9-day trial, Wolverhampton Crown Court, Mr. Williams said he met the woman, who cannot be named for legal reasons, again, which is a really annoying part of it, right? Imagine you accuse somebody of rape. That's the thing that, again, that annoys me. I think if you get found not guilty, the woman's name should be released. I don't understand why she can't name, because I guess there's a part of me that thinks, okay, there's two ways you can look at this, right? There's a part of me that thinks if somebody has been found not guilty of rape, it depends how easy. Yeah, there's a part of me that thinks if you've been found not guilty of rape, maybe part of the allegation was an attempt to extort money from the celebrity. Now, that could be one case. It could also be the case that sometimes it's really hard to prove if somebody tried to rape you, right? Because I think I've read somewhere that rape cases don't always go to court. They're hard to prove. Sometimes the women don't go and get don't have the when a rape happens, the last thing they want to do is go to the hospital and get a rape kit or whatever, have be analyzed to find out if they've been raped. They go home, they shower, the evidence is already gone, so that again, it's a distraught situation. They don't, again, having an interview with a police officer and retelling or recounting the entire story can be really, really just soul destroying. I can understand that too, but there's a side of me that's like, if you're in a hotel room with JLS and his tour manager, who maybe is popular in that kind of realm, and if you're a fangirl of JLS, you probably know who that guy is. There's an element of me that's a bit like, I'm not too sure about that. And it's a bit, again, if you get found not guilty, I think you should be able to deal with the consequences of both things. Even if the person got off on a technicality, you should also be fighting your case, still continuing to fight if you're the lady, right? It should still be a thing that's ongoing. I guess the only reason that could not happen is because the woman herself could be like, you know what, I've had enough of the press coverage, because I'm sure some people out there know who she is, which is already annoying, and they're already kind of camped out in front of a house. She said, I've had enough with my family getting tormented. I just want to be over with this thing. So maybe that's the case, but I'm not too sure. But again, I'm not happy with that side of things. That's a little bit annoying for me. During 9-day trial in Wolverhampton, Mr. Williams said he met the woman, who cannot be named for legal reasons, and two friends at a meet and greet at an event in a nightclub. Mr. Williams told jurors he got along very, very well with the woman, and she had initiated a highly sexual charge display at a VIP area of the venue, right? So she was grinding on him, having a good time, they're having drinks. He was living his best life, doing a little J-list kind of walkthrough and pick up his bag and enjoying his life. He said that he then engaged in consensual sex in his hotel room, but this ended in embarrassment when he was unable to perform sexually. Cool, right? So they got ready, about to get it on, and he couldn't get it up. No problem so far, right? Seems normal. The manager from Hounslow, West London, said he had tried to start a threesome because the sex was cringy, and he thought the woman, what? Do you start threesomes because you think it's cringy? That's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? I'm not too sure about that. Sounds a bit dodge. Because cringy, and he thought the woman was probably not enjoying it. So he thought she wasn't enjoying the one-on-one sex, so he thought he'd make it more enjoyable by jumping in. Bro, managers are fucking weird, innit? Why are you even in the room, bro? Like, kick out, man. What the fuck? Kick rocks. He told the court he had touched a woman in an intimate area for 5 to 6 seconds, reasonably believing she was consenting, but she did not respond, and he went back to his bed. The woman told the court she lay like a dead body during sex, which she said didn't want to happen. But Mr. Williams said she had asked to spend a night with him, and also thanked him when they parted ways. Of course, so I'm assuming they probably had footage of the CCTV inside the club. They probably saw her being really, sexually forward with him, even though she was intoxicated. So there might be a personal accountability there in that respect. They looked like they were enjoying themselves, and she was willingly leaving the nightclub with him. Blah blah blah. 3 years of hell. Mark Cotter, defending Miss Williams, suggested the accusations against the singer were influenced by the extreme reaction of the compliance friend after being told of the consensual encounter. So they're saying that even though the girl wanted it, when she told her friends what happened, they reacted really bad, and then that made her think that something bad happened, which is quite normal, right? This is why in some cases I've seen pickup artists do that thing where they want to isolate, right, girls from groups and stuff. It sounds creepy, it sounds cringy, it sounds kind of rapey, I know, but the kind of the way of thinking behind it is that usually there might be a couple of girls in that crew that are like, again, secretly jealous, envious, that, their friends is always the one that's getting picked up and they're not getting any action, and they just want to block it. Or it just might be strictly just to make things easier, like, because they're all staying over at a house, that girl's house, and they all want to go back home together. They don't want to be left alone in the club, so they don't want you to talk to their friend, right? It could just be simple as that. But I do understand sometimes how odd that can get in a group setting, and sometimes as well, girls and guys are the same, right? How many times have you hooked up with a girl and you haven't told your mates about it, right? Because you don't want to be judged. You don't want them to start talking nonsense and start saying things about you. We've all done it, right? I guess we've all done it. Well, I know I have anyway. He said there was no realistic answer as to why he would do it. Jurors deliberated for about 2 hours before Miss Williams were unanimously acquitted. Again, that is for me is a big thing, because I'm sure there was evidence. I'm sure there was CCTV cameras from the hotel, from the nightclub, from the streets around, especially if it's in an area where a nightclub is, there's probably CCTV all over the streets. They could have been able to ascertain if it was consensual or not. You can see quite clearly. And again, even if it wasn't consensual, I'm really, really, really against this idea that, there isn't any personal responsibility for women in these kind of encounters. I think you shouldn't go to anyone's bedroom, right? This is not even about the conversation about slut walking and that sort of stuff, and women should be able to wear miniskirts. Forget that, right? Wear what you want. I don't care. Grind on who you want to grind on. But when it comes to coming up to someone's room, you shouldn't go to anyone's room if you're not willing to engage, or if you're not going even to entertain the idea that you guys might engage in some kind of sexual encounter. It shouldn't happen. Now, you could argue back and say, yeah, but I should be able to go up if I want to, right? It's my right. If I want to just go in and just sleep, I should be able to. Yes, cool. But I also think you should be aware of not putting yourself in harm's way, right? Because there's some dudes who aren't as gentlemanly as others, right? I've been in situations where we've gone to a house party and, some of my friends might end up hooking up with a couple of girls in a house party, but then, a couple of them are really wasted and it's their house and we just leave. There's loads of time we've done that. We've just kind of like, we're just going to leave. We don't want to stay. And in other situations, there are other guys who just stay, right, and try and hook up with a girl even though they know she's completely wasted. And if you know anything about house parties or just generally when you're hanging around the girls in those kind of environments, they tend to get a lot more blackout drunk than dudes would be, mainly because they're usually uncomfortable in those situations. They just want to feel more relaxed. They want to get in the zone. It's their birthday. They want to let their hair down a bit. I don't know. It always seems as if when I'm in a house party, the girls are always way more drunk than the guys are, right? So I think it's our responsibility as like men to kind of like survey the situation and be responsible and be like, you know what, I'm going to go home. Even myself, I've kind of been out with people and it looked like we were going to hook up with a certain girl. I was going to hook up with a certain girl. Instead of hooking up, and it didn't really work out, and I'd send them home in a cab. Right? Call, give them an Uber and tell them to go home. So text them in the morning and say, hope you got home all right. And they have no recollection of what happened. And imagine if we went through and had sex then. What would happen then? Right? They'd wake up in the morning, regret what happened. Then they'd think, oh, actually, did I want it to happen? It creates unnecessary drama. So I honestly think for the guy, there's not many signs that you can read, right? Like all you have to go on is what's in front of you. If she's grinding on you, whispering in your ear, telling you what she wants to do with you after, saying we suggested things, that's all you can go on. You're going to feel cool, it's on. But I think for the woman, because you're the ones that choose, the power's really in your hands to be like, you know what? I'm not going to go up to this guy's room. He's being a bit too touchy-feely. He's being a bit too forward. I'm just going to go home. I know, again, it doesn't sound right, but I just think that's the right thing to do. I honestly do think so. Like, I think there's a lot of personal accountability on both sides, right? On both ends. On the guy's end as well for not trying to push things too far. I think the manager's saying, the manager in the story is saying, like it was too cringy, so I wanted to step in and make it more comfortable. That sounds weird. So, it will make you kick that dude out. But I just think in general, if the guy's not being too forward and the girl isn't too fucked up, I think you both have to kind of have personal responsibility for it. If you end up regretting in the end, cool. And also, don't let your friends convince you that you got raped. That's fucked up, man. What kind of friends do you have? Like, convince you got raped? It's like, what? I might have been fucked up, but I like this guy. I fancied him since I was young. He's in JLS. I don't know. Like, it's really strange. Anyway, let's continue with the story. Jurors deliberated for 2 hours before Williams and Nagadanda, however you pronounce his name, were unanimously acquitted. Mr. Williams, former bandmate of Marvin Hume, celebrated the verdict on social media, saying it was 3 years of hell. And then, again, which I'm happy to see, because that's what I was gutted to see with the James Charles thing, right? All these friends ditching him and not following him anymore, and then sending him text messages in private. Just absolute scumbags of people. But I'm happy to see, Marvin going out there and putting an entire picture up on Facebook and on Instagram saying cleared, not guilty. Finally, my brother at Artist Music, 3 years of hell is over. No one will ever know or imagine what he was been through. I'm just so proud of the way he conducted himself during what has been the most awful time. He is so strong, and I know he can't wait to start his life again now. We love you, which is awesome, right? It's what you want to see. When it's your friend, back them, right? Back your friends, man. Don't be a pussy. His wife said the same thing too. Rochelle, this here is our brother, one of the kindest, most gentle, thoughtful men I know. Today he was cleared of not guilty after 3 years of absolute hell. I'm so proud of how you conducted yourself throughout this time. I really don't think I could have held myself in the same way. Rish, we love you so much, and I'm writing this crying. So many happy tears. It's over. So yeah, glad to Otis Williams again, because these things don't happen too often, right? People getting acquitted of rape, especially high profile figures. So when it does happen, I think you should be you should report it the same way when it gets reported that he's been charged, right? Because it was everywhere. I saw it plus everywhere. So again, happy for Otis. Again, thoughts go out to the lady in question. If it was an honest mistake, if it was something that she thought happened and cool, if it was something vindictive, I think you really need help. You need to kind of sort yourself out. If it was your mates that convinced you to do the charge, you might need to change your friends. But regardless, hopefully everyone can kind of move on from this and learn and kind of, you know, progress through life. I think, but again, like I said in general, in the beginning, guys' responsibility to not take advantage of women in those kind of situations, right? If they're highly intoxicated or they're infatuated with you because of your celebrity and fame. But also women have also a big responsibility because you're the ones that choose, right, to decide whether or not you to go up to someone's room or not. Like, don't just walk up. You know what I mean? Don't just assume it's going to be okay. Don't do that because you never know who you're going to be saddled next to. It could be a complete psycho and you don't want to end up in a situation like this. No one would anyway. I'd imagine so. So yeah, that's it on that one. What else is next here? The worst store experiences. I'm not surprised with this list here on BBC. WH Smith, retailer in the UK, says which survey, right, is the worst retailer in the UK. Which again, if you've been to the WH Smith in the UK, you'd know what it's like. It's just, you know, it's funny because WH Smith tries to go on like it's an absolute store, but it's just the same as a Poundland, if not worse than a Poundland, right? Like Dollar Tree store in the US. It tries to act a bit bougie and a bit more upper class, but it's just the same, right? They've got fucking horrible carpets that are never clean. Stuff looks like it's been on display for 17 million years. The prices are all wrong. Chocolate's all soft and warm and stuff. Like, just weird place to be in, right? A very strange mix of stuff in general. But it's a report from which survey. It says WH Smith has been ranked the UK's worst high street retailer. The poll, which covered 100 retailers, rated the chain very poor for value for money and in-store experience. Homebase, Bunnings and Sports Direct were next worst performers, while Richard Sounds and John Lewis were at the top of the table. It's true. I'd say very poor value for money because, like I mentioned, it's got the same sort of stuff you'd buy in a Poundland, right? There's nothing that you'd go there to buy specifically in a WH Smith, maybe apart from a card you want to buy this for somebody, right? Like a birthday card, an anniversary card or something. Maybe magazines, but people don't really read magazines that often anymore, and you might be able to pick that up from a Sainsbury's or Tesco, but that's about it. That's the only and stationery. But again, you'd want to go to a Ryman's, right, and actually geek out on stationery, or go to like a Muji or something. So there's no real need to go to WH Smith. The only reason why people go to them is because, you know, they're usually the only kind of general kind of stores they have in airports, right, that sell like waters and like, you know, chargers and stuff, and, you know, they mark them up considerably, especially in the airport and stuff. But that's the only reason why you'd go in those kind of places. But yeah, and it continues. WH Smith have said just 580 commented on the stores in the survey. The survey is neither statistically relevant. I love how they defend themselves. WH Smith has said just 586 customers. Just 500. It's just a lot of customers, right? This survey is neither statistically relevant or not meaningful relevant to our loyal customer base. Every week we serve 3 million customers in our 600 UK's high street stores and have maintained our presence on the high street where many retailers are closing their doors. Yeah, but, you know, again, that's no real mean accomplishment, mate. There's still a million chicken shops everywhere, all over the streets of London. It doesn't mean, you know, they're doing a good job. It just means, you know, whatever. It means whatever it means. And here's an image from spoof Twitter account, WH Smith Carpets, that documents all their shitty carpets. Again, like I mentioned, the carpets are awful in there. According to which the retailer achieves. Again, it's not probably their fault because, again, it's a blue carpet. So if you stain that shit, you're fucked. Like in here, another carpet has been replaced here in the middle. Jesus Christ. And here's the entire list, right, of the most bottom rated. So top rated are Richard Sounds, a Rohan, John Lewis, Hooters Shoes, and Lakeland. Again, I've not been to any of them apart from a John Lewis in Westfield, and it's usually a great store experience, very clean, very fresh, happy and jubilant store employees. But again, that probably comes from the top, right? It probably comes from the managers, how they treat their area managers, and how the area managers treat their store managers, how store managers treat their supervisors treat their retail staff. I mean, it probably trickles up from the top down, from my experience. Any place I've worked in, especially retail wise, or service industry wise, it's really about the company. You really see a company culture in a retail store. What people actually think of it. I think head office you can kind of get away with it because people are a little bit, you know, snarky and maybe in their own world. You can just sit on your laptop and don't need to engage, but you get a real understanding of their company culture when you go to the actual physical stores. And for the most part, every retail store I've worked in that's been great has come from the top down, company culture wise. Like how everyone gets treated from the top to the bottom is how the store runs. And even when you go into the factory, it kind of mirrors that too. So when I see the bottom rated stores and I see places like River Island, I see Sports Direct, I see Homebase, and I see Deborah Smith, I'm not surprised. River Island, again, I'm not sure why anyone will go there. Again, considering the amount of high street fashion stores or fast fashion stores out there at the moment that exist, why would you want to go to River Island? I don't know. Sports Direct, again, one of the worst experiences I've had maybe in the retail store, hands down. And for me, the worst because I have to always go there because, again, I run, I play sports. It's the only place that sells, shorts, compression socks, tracksuit bottoms, whatever, all those weird things, headbands, gloves, skipping ropes, those things that miscellaneous items that you don't really want to wait to get from Amazon. You want to just get it now and kind of use. You kind of have to go to a Sports Direct, and it's awful because you get and then Sports Direct is obviously run by Mike Ashley from Newcastle, who's obviously one of the worst kind of football owners out there. And you understand why, because when you go to a Sports Direct, number one, it's really hard to find anyone to help you, right? Store assistants are nowhere to be found, even though there's, most Sports Directs have fairly big stores, right? In terms of square by feet, right? They're fairly large units. So it's never really a tiny store, apart from maybe even the Stratford one in the Stratford shopping mall near me isn't really small. It's quite a big store, it kind of goes, it's a bit of depth to it, corners everywhere. They stack all the fucking rails, right? They're jam-packed full of clothing. They don't agree. Some retail stores I've worked in, they always say you have to have a 2-finger spacing on all the racks, right? So it makes it look clean and stuff. You have too much clutter on there, but they don't believe in that whatsoever. So it's absolutely teeming with product, and it's impossible to find a store assistant. You walk in sometimes and there's no one around to you to help, right? So you shouldn't really be asking for help because literally everything's out on the shop floor. But there might be an occasion where you might be looking for a certain size or a certain thing that you saw online. You can't find anyone, and then lo and behold, there'll be I don't know, a 15 deep queue at the till. There's 5 tills available, but only 2 are operational. Only 2 are being worked on by an employees, and they're going super slow. The slowest people ever on the till. It's just annoying. Maybe it's a till system. I don't know if it's the employees themselves, but the girls at the till, the guys at the till are just so slow there. The changing room is always packed. So then they'll obviously realize that it's getting a bit too crazy, and somebody on the intercom will say, "Hey, can we have some help on the?" And immediately, what you end up seeing is all these staff employees are bursting out of the staff room or out of the stock room like cockroaches, running and trying to find a corner. Because I've done it myself, right? Where you're always kind of you're hiding in the changing room, your stock room, you're talking, you're having a laugh, you're joking around, and then you hear the intercom and you all kind of run out and try and pretend like you're working somewhere. I've done it. We've all done it, but it's really frustrating being on the other side when you're just standing there with your sweatpants trying to look for a particular size, and you're seeing 6 staff members popping out of the staff room. You're like, fucking hell, guys, come on. I'm always a big believer in doing the best you can the job you have available, but sometimes I also do understand when you work in companies and work for a team that's just god awful. It's just god awful. You're actually waking up in the morning, you're like, fuck, you actually don't want to go in, and you get that feeling when you go to Sports Direct. You definitely get the feeling that no one wants to be there. They probably pay shit. They wear that dead uniform with the polo, right? It's annoying, the hours. They stock too many items, right? There's way too many SKUs. Imagine what it's like kind of marking all those clothes up during the sale. It's probably kind of, probably want to, stab yourself in the neck several times. So I definitely understand it. And this list kind of is no surprise to me as well. Having been in the shops. And I think for anyone that's lived in the UK, you'll know that these stores, especially River Island or even Next and all those kind of places, these places might as well not exist, man. But yeah, I'll link in the show notes for you guys that want to check it out. Let's move on. London's no longer English from John Cleese. A really weird statement. I guess London's never been English, really. John Cleese from Fawlty Towers fame has, it's weird. There's been a few people like this, right, over the years. I'm not sure who else is the other guy. Who's the other guy? There's been another one. These big actors have suddenly come out, when they just get older, I think they get bored or they're watching stuff on social media, they just want to comment and end up saying the most wildest of stuff, and you're like, fuck, man, I used to be a fan of yours, man. And what John Cleese said is not that bad, because I think he's come out and he's been quite, anti-Brexit for the most part. He's come out and said some inflammatory things, and he just seems like an old cranky dude for the most part, so this shouldn't be that much of a surprise. People on social were going a bit crazy over it. John Cleese claims London is no longer an English city and sparks a fresh criticism online. Again, not really that much of a big statement to make. London's never really been the most English of cities in general anyway. If you want English, go up north, right? There's less immigrants there for the most part. It's just standard observation, but let's look at the article and read it in general. The actor John Cleese has sparked an online row after claiming that London is no longer an English city. I guess that could kind of seem a little bit racist, right? Does he want it to be race? Does he want it to be English? Is he leaving England because it's not English enough for him? I don't know. Whatever. You can read the match into it as well as you can. In a tweet sent early this morning to 5.6 million followers. Again, why they're saying this? Because, you know, he's got a platform. He should be careful of his platform. He's got a platform. Let him say what he wants. He's old as fuck, man. Like, he's cranky and old. Let him see what he wants. I relax it. When I'm 79, I just want to say what I want to. Being politically correct at 79 is not fun. You're 79, isn't it? Fuck. What are they going to do? Cancel you? You're going to be dead in a few years anyway. It doesn't matter. You've made your money. Fuck it. The Fawlty Towers comedian repeated his claims, his 2011 claims. Right, he's been doing this for time, right? Cleese said that virtually all of his friends living abroad agreed with his observation. He wrote, so there must be some truth in it. I know also that the London was the UK city that voted most strongly to remain in Europe, which is obviously, you know, we all are aware of. But the comedian has come under fire for his renewed criticism or comment. Sorry, London Mayor Sadiq Khan responded to Cleese's comments in a statement to the press association. Come on, Sadiq Khan, he's got better things to do than responding to John Cleese's statements on Twitter. Read a press release. Come on. Referring to Cleese, these comments make John Cleese sound like he's in the character of Basil Fawlty. Londoners know that our diversity is our greatest strength. We are proudly the English capital, a European city, and a global hub. I think people up north will debate that. Other comedians jumped to criticize Monty Python star too, because of course some comedians do that. Dom Jolly said, John Cleese is one of my comedy heroes. Suddenly, this thing came out of nowhere and it's so depressing on so many levels. He's clearly a really smart, funny man, but this is basically a very racist tweet. Secondly, it's not basically racist, is it really? Just say it's not too English. Right? It's like going to Upton Park and saying there's not many white people there. It's just an observation, right? Brixton, there's not many white people there either, right? What's bad about commentating on what you observe? Strange, isn't it? What do we live in? Again, maybe like didn't he say Brexit was a bad idea, right? No? I'm pretty sure he said he's going to leave the UK now because, or did he say he wanted to leave because he wanted to remain? That doesn't make any sense, right? Really? Because if he wanted to remain, he'd just stay here, wouldn't he? Anyway, he's the Monty Python actor also said last year that he was disappointed with Britain and announced that he would be exactly. So if somebody says that they're disappointed that Britain decided to vote Brexit, and he said because of that he's going to move to the Caribbean, which isn't the most, you know, Caucasian of places, to say the least. Why would people say he's racist? He's not racist though, is he? He's just saying something that he's observing. It might not be the most politically correct thing to say. It might not be something that people are comfortable to hear, but London isn't the most English place ever. It's not, is it? That's why when you go to places, pockets of like, you know, what's that place you go to? Is it Bermondsey? You know, there's some questionable characters in there that want London to remain English. You know, they haven't quite come to terms with the diversity of the city. That's why you have those kind of pockets that exist there, right? I don't really understand the real bother about this statement. It really seems to be like a bit of a non-issue for me generally. But I guess, you know, if I got it wrong, drop me a comment in the comment below. I guess, I don't know. Don't really see that big of a deal already to it, in my opinion. But anyway, what do I know? Moving on. 21% of UK clubs are closing last year. You know, no surprise there. This is news from Resident Advisor. They're saying 21% of UK clubs closed in a single year, says the International Music, whatever the IMS, right? That's an IB thing. The number of nightclubs in the UK dropped by more than a fifth in the space of a year, according to International Music Summit, an annual industry summary. The 29-page document portrays a steep decline in the fortunes of British nightclubs amid growing concern, governmentally and cultural pressure. By the end of 2018, the number of nightclubs in the UK dropped by 21%. The rate of the decline over the years prior was less than 1%. Changes in emerging consumer habits, such as the use of dating apps and wellness trends, coupled with people saving up for festivals instead of going to clubs, has increased the strain on brick and mortar venues already imposed by the effects of gentrification. Very, very true. Those things obviously can contribute, but I still think nightclubs play a role in that whole, you know, bevy of things. But I think, as proved by the Hackney Council's licensing laws that were recently implemented, it seems as if most boroughs would prefer their borough to be more in the liking of a Stoke Newington, that kind of area, right, where it's more populated by bars and wine bars and restaurants, as opposed to nightclubs and bars, right? I don't think they want that. I think what we've seen with the migration of people coming from West London to Shoreditch and to Liverpool Street, I think because that was such a swift change and because there's such a huge amount of people that all congregate now in Liverpool Street and Shoreditch, I think it was a worse representation of kind of club culture in East London or in pockets of around, you know, London overall, that it kind of scared people off. Like, you only have to go to Shoreditch or Liverpool Street on a Saturday around 10 to 11 p.m. to understand why some local residents are a bit finicky or a little bit uptight about clubs opening around their street. I can understand even people that come in new who are accused of being accused of gentrifying the area because they're only coming there because the area is popping now. I understand still if you've got a new build flat somewhere around the corner from Hoxton, why you wouldn't want another nightclub to open up around the area. It's bad enough as it is, right, with the Hoxton Bar and Grill, with all these other places blaring music out and, you know, having punters there who don't respect the spaces, throwing up around the street corners, pissing everywhere. Imagine having an actual nightclub that's catered around, you know, people staying out late. So I think the issue is that the council and the boroughs didn't stand by some clubs and try and keep hubs open. Like I mentioned before, with Fold that we have in East London, might be a better idea to, instead of having loads of nightclubs or bars around, maybe have hubs in East London, North London, West London, South London, similar to Fold nightclub that stay open until 6 and 7 a.m. So if you want to go out and rave until 6 in the morning, until 8 in the morning, or until 12 in the afternoon, there are places that you can go to that are away from residential areas. Like Fold is in, you know, the area in Canning Town that is surrounded by warehouses that usually are housed with, you know, I think it's DHL, Royal Mail, other, you know, factories and stuff. So there's no residential people around there. So you can really, you know, you can turn up the music. Your licensing laws aren't that hard to kind of work around or to come in agreement with. I think that would make more sense, right? But then they don't do that. What they do is that they kind of take away all the clubs and they just, you know, there's nothing else left there. So then now you're getting have you noticed when you go to a bar, even a Wetherspoons and Liverpool Street, have you noticed how busy those things are now? Why do you think so? It's not because people are deciding to opt for wellness, it's because they can't go out to a nightclub anymore, so they decide to go to Wetherspoons. And what happens when you go to Wetherspoons? You end up getting drunk really early, from 7 p.m. after work until 11 or 1 a.m, depending on which one you go to when they close, which again is no benefit to anyone, because, you know, people are drinking loads, they're spending a lot of money, but they're leaving the club absolutely plastered, getting themselves into accidents, throwing up everywhere, just destroying the area. It's just never a good idea. So I never really got this whole thing about closing all the bars and clubs. I get some of them, right, because especially in the area that they are in, they're disturbing the punters and stuff, but at least put some around some areas so people that can go to them, so they can kind of ease the pressure demands on the bar. So the people that do want to go out to Wetherspoons after work on a Friday in Liverpool Street can go to a bar or whatever and have a drink and have a relaxing time, and the ones that want to go to a nightclub and rave can go too. But, you know, try and go to Wetherspoons at 7 p.m. after work and try and get a table. Not gonna happen because people are in there since 5 p.m. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Anyway, in the last year, Mint nightclub in Leeds, Oxford's the Cellar, the Harley in Sheffield, all have closed. Ghost Notes, Total Refreshment Centre, the Alibi, shed a tear. The Red Gallery, all in London closed. The Red Gallery as well, of all places to close, right? Let's say all those places. Ghost Notes I've been to is great. Total Refreshment I've been to is great. The Alibi I've been to is great, a bit debauchery. But the Red Gallery it was so middle of the road. It was a standard place, like in the name. Red Gallery, it was mostly a gallery. They have some types after parties, or, you know, private parties happen after the exhibition would close down, or, you know, kind of after hours. But for the most part, it was private. It was mostly private events, right? People hosting parties or club nights there. It wasn't necessarily a nightclub people would go to. It was just, honestly, and it was just on the corner. Like, it doesn't make any sort of sense. It's facing the street. Like, there's no real residents there for the most part. It's just a weird one to close, really. Why would you want to close that? I guess, again, gentrification. I'm assuming that spot will get taken up by a hotel or a salon or some shit. It's really, really bizarre. In addition, IMS cites a mental health report originally conducted by a record union. It shows that nearly 3/4 of independent musicians, it's not kind of many working in electronic music, said they experienced negative emotions in relation to their music making, with first saying they experienced panic attacks. Yeah, that's standard process, isn't it? I think I mentioned before this really good interview with Dr. Rubenstein, I think on RA2, called The Art of DJing, where she basically says, you know, she's talking about, I think the interviewer's asking her about whether or not she gets on it or drinks before she goes to gigs. Like, no, I'm a professional, right? I want to do my job and do it well. But she also says that but she sometimes suffers from panic attacks, right? Because, you know, she's having a bit of a meteoric rise, and she's kind of gone from DJing in the local scene Berlin, which, you know, don't get me wrong, is one of the best scenes in the world, but it's still only Berlin. to suddenly go into playing festivals and playing these big rooms or these big clubs all over the world. And she knows how much the flights cost. She knows how much they're paying her money-wise. And knows how much the partners are spending to kind of get there and pay for a ticket. And she kind of has panic attacks because she wants to do a good job. She's really afraid of like fucking up, right? So, you know, imagine that from her level, then extrapolate that level below. You're playing around, you know, in your local scene like I do, and you suddenly get a big booking, you can have a panic attack. You're in a space that you're not really used to, panic attack. Just the fact that, you know, it's a profession that's rife for other people's opinion, right? So people have to give you permission to play, right? Unless you got your own club, unless you set up your own club night, you're essentially having to audition every single time you play to get more gigs. Those things are always going to add to the anxiety and mental health issue about it. And the fact that it's a solitary endeavor, right? You have to sit in front of a computer for hours in order to kind of fine tune a song or to kind of make a mix. It's very, very isolated. Isolatory. It's kind of a thing you only do on your own. You're not really surrounded by people. We're social creatures. So I'm assuming the mental health thing, it kind of really makes sense to me in that regard. But yeah, that's crazy, man. The amount of clubs that are closing. Again, like I said, I don't understand why there's no middle ground. It's just let's close all the bars and clubs. Come on, man. Like, at least keep some of it. Like, again, I understand. Liverpool Street to Shoreditch is probably a bad representation of what it should be like. But again, those places are a bit fucked up and they invite the pressure on themselves. They, you know, invite everyone in. They don't really have a door picking policy. If you're not drunk, you get in basically for the most part. All the places in there don't really have a defined kind of style of music or taste and stuff that they kind of pushing towards, or people just go in there to get fucked up for the most part. You're not really attracting a certain crowd. It's just all a kind of big smorgasbord of bullshit. But I honestly think a lot of it could be alleviated if they just kept a couple of these places open. Like if Plastic People was open in that area, that would be great for that area because it will ease the pressure on some of the bars. If the Alibi was open again, it will ease some of the pressure on some of the bars left and right. But again, what do I know? I'm probably way out of my depth in it, but I think those would be maybe some good suggestions going forward. But again, you know, you never know with these things, and maybe they know much better than I do. Next on the list, and this is actually the full report, right? And I think I mentioned here on the list here on my notes. Have you noticed that recently, again, maybe I'm the only person that notices these kind of things because I pay attention, or, you know, I'm paying attention, sorry. Not that no one else is paying attention, but have you noticed that Nina Kravitz, Amelie Lenz, and Charlotte DeWitt have been literally everywhere, right? We went from going from a period in time where there was a real conversation with some female DJs where they're like, look, come on, guys, give us a chance. We don't want equal, what's the thing called? We don't want quality of outcome. We want a quality of opportunity, right? Yeah, there's enough good female DJs out there to fill a lineup of a festival. That we know for sure. If you've been to a festival too, you know that, you know, as attendees, girls probably make up 40%, if not more, of attendees that attend these festivals, right? It's not just dudes out there. There's a lot of dudes, but there are a lot of girls going to these festivals. And you have to look at the We Are Festival debacle to see that that's true, right? But their reputation wasn't, you know, enacted. And I think reputation wasn't even to do with women. It was just to do with like them only, most festival bookers not really challenging themselves and only booking the people that they know are going to be 30 ticket sellers. So it's not even a girl thing. It's even guys are complaining, hey man, what the fuck? You're not picking me. I'm a sick in my area. I'm doing good things. I'm a local hero. Wasn't it that thing with Red Bull where they'll go in and playing a certain type of genre? I don't know. They're celebrating a certain Brazilian genre of music, and they just book people from Europe. They didn't even book anyone local, right? There's that kind of stuff, right? There's loads of really stupid things that they could easily win in and just kind of, you know, stop complaints. Or even if it doesn't come from a real place, just to kind of an exercise in kind of understanding where you're putting the festival, right? And who's attending it. So anyway, in the last few years, it's gone the complete opposite way now. It feels as if like most festivals are just trying their hardest to push female DJs who, some of them are great, some of them aren't so great, and it kind of feels a bit imbalanced, right? But at least something's happening in that regard. But also there was an idea I thought, or not idea, but this something I thought the other day. I was like thinking, it's weird that, you know, you're seeing the same kind of art. It's the same. They're mirroring what's happening with the men DJ. Really, you're seeing the same kind of group of 5 to 10 women constantly being promoted. Amelie Lenz, Charlotte DeWitt, Black Madonna, Peggy Gou, Dr. Rubenstein, Lena Wilkins, who's the other one? Nastia. The other one as well. There's 3 others I forgot anyway, but there's a group of 10 women who have always been pushed in front. And again, it's the same as the men, like it's the same kind of group of people. And if you thought to yourself, why am I always seeing these say people being promoted everywhere, this kind of report says, right? It says here festivals. This is kind of one of the pages on the report. Female techno DJs dominated festival circuit in 2018. Nina Kravitz plays 2 times as many as her lead as the leading band, right? Is it? Nina Kravitz has played the most sets. So it's basically listed saying here there's a number of festivals played in 2018. Top performing DJs. Number 1, Nina Kravitz, 35 festivals. Number 2, Amelie Lenz, played 27 festivals. Number 3, Armin van Buuren, 26. Number 4, Charlotte DeWitt, 24. And number 5, Dimitri Vegas and Like Mike, 22. So if you thought it's only you that thought that was a notice in this, you're not. It's the reports are there to be said. Now again, not sure how I feel about this, but I think in general, representation is good. In general, going forward, I think it will kind of need to peter out. I think the goal some festivals have of being 50-50 parity lineup by 2022. I don't think, again, you don't need to be 50-50. It just needs to be representative, right? That's the main thing. Because I think there's guys out there who are undercover and have never played a festival when they're 10 years deep in the game. And they're probably looking at people like Peggy Goo and Charlotte DeWitt and thinking, what the fuck? Do you know what I mean? I'm 12 years in the game and I've never played a festival. And these girls are playing just because they're girls, you know what I mean? For the most part, right? That's part of the reason why. And again, I get it, I understand, but let's make it fair all around. But again, 35 festivals in a year, man. That's a lot of work, man. Well done to Nina. Nina Kravitz played 35 different festivals in 2018, according to Fest Ticket. This made her the top performing DJ and meant she played nearly twice as many festivals as the top performing band, The Killers. Whoa. Amelia Lenz ranked second. And The Killers, if you know anything about indie festivals, they were everywhere last year. Charlotte DeWitt also made the top 5 and number 4 with 24 festivals played. Online fan base is another one good one, right? Nina, Amelie, and Charlotte DeWitt have grown their Instagram and YouTube fan base faster than anyone from the top 5 DJs, increasing followers vis the last quarter year, right? So this is on, of course, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Nina Kravitz has gone up 35% on Instagram. Amelie Lenz 63%, Charlotte DeWitt 79%. So it's literally, and she was unknown before that. That's amazing. Vibrate shows that over the past year, these 3 female techno DJs have average grown their YouTube, Spotify fan base faster than anyone else. Charlotte DeWitt has achieved the highest growth of all time. Yeah, of course, because she was literally, unless you were a fan of her productions or you were on the underground or on the techno subreddit, you wouldn't have probably heard of Charlotte DeWitt being spoken about at all. And suddenly she just burst through the scene. Her Instagram and YouTube growth was higher than anyone. Marshmallow, Amelie Lenz, now adding twice as many social media fans as a year ago. Which is fine, which is great. I'm happy for her. I think obviously there's a privilege in that regard in the female DJ sense. If you're a girl, there's a privilege in terms of you're going to get propped up a little bit more, which is fine because representation. I think if you're a girl and you're hot and you're attractive, you're also going to get propped up. And you do, again, it's like the Peggy Goo thing. If you're attractive and you can also DJ and you can make music, you've killed all 3 targets, right? You smashed it. You've kind of got all 3 things in the boat. Which obviously is a part of the reason why people are successful, right? It's not only because of your talent. It's partly because of who you know. It's partly because of your connections. It's partly because of your peer group, your productions, your placement, some luck, where you go and party, your local crew. What do you look like? Have you got a distinctive look, a distinctive style? It all adds to the allure. I'd imagine so, right? Now adding twice as many social media fans as a year ago. Daily growth quadrupled after Time Warp 25 Festival. I'm sure she did really well there. I think the same happened with Jada G, right? I think she mentioned, I think even Peggy Goo mentioned, right? Her appearance at Deck Mantle really kind of burst her through to the kind of commercial or overground techno scene or electronic music scene in general. And just in general, some good stats here about TV advertising. Some of these girls are fucking smashing it there too. The leading global brands are signing up female electronic artists to lead their TV campaigns. Peggy Goo is doing Porsche, Ellie and Fur are doing Kayak, and Alice in Wonderland is doing Fair. Awesome. Peggy doing Porsche is massive, man. She's got so many fucking brand sponsors in it. It's insane. Keep it up, girl. Festival gender diversity. Pitchfork analysis showed only 90% of festival artists were female in 2018, and 150 festivals aiming for 50% by 2020. This is the one where I kind of get a bit, I'm not too sure about. You don't just need to have 50-50 women and men. It should just be, because again, we don't know how many female DJs are out there compared to male DJs, right? So if there's not as many, then obviously the talent pool won't be that much to pick from, right? There won't be a big pool of talent to pick from. That's just like that's just a standard statistical observation. So what you should be doing is trying to book more female artists, right? It's trying to have a stage that's not, and again, I don't want it to just be female only. I think that's corny and cheesy, But I just think there is something beautiful about having a woman playing in an electronic music festival. It's something, I don't know. It's like when you hear a DJ playing at a festival, guy or girl who isn't from Europe. They have a different sort of tone, a different sort of texture with the stuff they play. It's just different, right? The influence, like you even look at the Martinez brothers, right? And a good example, they're kind of, again, they're commercial, don't get me wrong, but their background is from hip hop, right? Scratching, scratching and that kind of scene hip hop, and you can feel it in the stuff they play. You can feel the selections in where they play music wise, right? They're in Miami, they're in Ibiza, LA, they're in all these glitzy places. You can get the glitz listening to their sets, right? The kind of stuff that would work well in those kind of arenas. Same with someone like a Luciano, right? You could get his reference point, Ricardo Villalobos, like his experience kind of bleeds through his DJ sets. So women or male, they are, you just need to make it diverse and give it a bit of flavor. So I want to hear a girl from Brooklyn, all right, a Puerto Rican girl from Brooklyn play on the stage festival back to back with Ricardo Villalobos. I don't want her to play just along Charlotte DeWitt because they're two girls. I want it to feel different, right? I think the set I saw the other day, where Peggy Gou and Nina Kravitz went back to back, that was awesome, right? Because they're both got a lot of acid house influences. They kind of, again, maybe the same sort of musical taste in that regard. They complement each other really well. They both represent kind of different people at different stages of their career. Nina Kravitz is a bit forward, evolving into maybe a solo artist. Peggy Gou has just kind of got her start. That made sense, but I just don't want it to just be like for me, it's paramount to having all women's running gear be pink, right? Just make stuff for women that they can run in. That doesn't need to generally be a gender specific. Color wise, but also lineup, right? Just make it feel nicer, because sometimes you go to these festivals, the same dudes playing all the time. It's like the Fabric 20th anniversary when that first lineup came. It's like, oh, come on, man, like, come on, let's spice it up, let's bring in some fresh blood, let's discover people, let's put in a new kid playing just after Richie Hawtin and then see how that kind of functions, or let's just make it a bit more interesting. So I think that's where it'll work. I think for me, I just not too sure about the whole 50-50 thing, whether or not that is the right thing to go about. Again, what do I know? Maybe I'm not speaking from the truth in that regard. 73% of independent musicians have experienced negative emotions. That's standard as par of course in it. You do something on your own, in isolation, away from friends, that requires somebody else to, again, it's a weird profession, right? Music, because you're doing it in isolation on your own, right? Honing your craft, but then you have to put it out there and hope people like it. So you have to get approved for people. Like, it's really strange transaction. They have to like the thing that you have. If they don't need it, it's like when you make a product or service, you're going to fulfill a need, right? Uber fulfills a need. It's a taxi rank, it's a mini cab, whatever, cool, it's Addison Lee, but it's fulfilling a need. Music doesn't fulfill a need, right? Who else needs another drum, another tech house beat, another new disco song? We don't need none of that stuff, right? We don't need another edit, right? But you do it in the hope that you can kind of add to the conversation, right? You can kind of provide a soundtrack to somebody's afternoon, evening, or weekend. And then they have to choose you. It must be a real mind fuck for people that make music. I don't make music, but it must be really, really strange. And again, there's no way of understanding if it's good or not until you put it out. You might think it's good, but again, you might think everything you do is good. It's a very, very strange thing. Business report. More people have ever attended live music, which is awesome. We've just seen that also obviously reflected in some of the things that they're talking about in terms of clubs closing, but I still think there needs to be some parity there. It doesn't always need to just be all festivals. I think, again, what we're seeing is that some of the same charlatans that operate in the nightclub scene also have migrated over to the festival scene, right? The same dudes who are now booking the same old hags for festivals, the same fucking bookings, like, I don't know, Field Day. Has Field Day lineup ever changed in the time that we've been around? Probably not. The same old people. Way Up Festival looks like a bit of a cash grab in that regard. Big investors trying to expand their portfolio. So I'm a little bit dubious on that one too. Clubs, however, decline, of course. Las Vegas after a peak. Yeah, so really, really good report. I recommend you check it out if you're interested in nightlife culture like I am. I recommend you check it out. IMS report. Again, I'll put it in show notes for you guys that care. It's a very, very good report. What else is here? La Cheetah Glasgow Club. There's a report here from, what is this? Is this from Mixmag? I think it's from Mixmag, isn't it, right? The club in Glasgow that I actually might end up attending. I like going to places and just seeing what it's about, man, vibe-wise. There's a club called La Cheetah in Glasgow, a tiny but fierce how La Cheetah became a Glasgow clubbing institution. For a tiny 200 capacity basement club in Glasgow historic merchant city, La Cheetah certainly punches above all weight. It's a perfectly sized venue. insists Maya Majewski, the DJ and promoter of Nightwave, who's held a night parties there for the past 5 years, is small enough to build a rapport with the client, big enough to get lost in. Sister Venue Room 2 opened in March on the site of former City Centre Shamban 69, the club which Friday night La Chita. Key element of Chita discusses tight in the community. Okay, I'll check this out. You know, I'm going to read this properly earlier, and I'm going to do another actually podcast tomorrow, and I'm going to expand it a bit more. But I love looking at new clubbing spaces and discovering some new spaces to go to. But you know what? That's enough for now because I've got to get off to work. That's 2:01. 2:01. We're absolutely smashing through the episodes these days. Thank you for joining me. It's been an absolutely amazing time. I'm happy we could join each other and talk and, you know, communicate and all this malarkey. I'm DJing tonight, Thursday, the 30th of May at Dalston, a place called the Three Compasses. I'll be playing from 8 till half 12 or 8 till 12. So if you're in the area, come down and check it out. It should be a good time. It should be a good time. I've actually got a flyer here somewhere, right? That I can actually put on. Let me put the flyer on here so you guys can check it out. And you guys can see it via the thing. If you're watching this via the YouTube, then you can I'll put the flyer on the show notes for you guys to check out. But I'm DJing this Friday, today at the Three Compasses, and of course this Friday at Tappies for my night called Tapped alongside Afro Moonzo, so come down to that. But tonight is Bump. Here we go. That's the flyer. Bump at the Three Compasses, see there on the screen. So yeah, should be a good one. That 8 till 12:30. Come down and check that out. All links can be found on my website, agostinhozinga.com. Like I said before, I got a new Instagram now, Agostinho Zinga. My new Instagram is gone. Suddenly got deleted. I'm not sure how it happened, but hey, it happens. I got a new Instagram now, so check me out. Link below. DJ Handsome Blackman, all one word. DJ Handsome Blackman on Instagram. Add me, and we can go from there. But until that day, I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Thanks so much for tuning in, as per usual, and we'll talk again soon, guys. Peace.